Hello, friends. Stitch Gang Part 8. This is your host, your chummy Frank Rodriguez, here with my co-host, Black Paul Rosenberg. He is a black belt in the Crystal Trail fighting system, fighting Albuquerque, New Mexico. The Stitch Gang senior striking analyst, Tyrone.
Thank you.
I'm the junior striking analyst, because when I talk about shit, I'm just like, oh, he got knocked out and I should have ended earlier.
I don't know. I mean, your commentary and your additions in the last episode were very poignant.
Oh, really?
So,
oh, thanks.
I think overall that's what matters.
Also, I realized in the last episode I made up a word. I said coibles, which I said Gucci Mane had coibles with Big Cat, which to me was a mix of foibles, which is like troubles, and quibbling or quibbles, which is like a minor disagreement. And then I turned it into coibles. I don't. Maybe that'll become a new word now or something. But
hopefully,
yeah, I'm the junior grammarian as well. So yeah, you were in New York last week. We went to see the Disaster Artist.
Should we mention that during the Disaster Artist, we decided to pour up some legal lean?
Yeah, I kept trying to get you to buy the seltzer, and you were like, I don't know why you didn't buy any, but I got some.
Honestly, I think I was too focused on buying candy at CVS.
Yeah.
That, the idea of getting some seltzer just totally slipped my mind.
So I sipped the legal lean out of, I mixed it with a seltzer, and then I sipped it out of a red vine. And I kind of it was interesting. So they sent it to us as a media sample, because my plan was to have a podcast about rap, and then after a few episodes contact these people to get some free legal lean. They also sent me cacao snuff or cocoa snuff, which is like chocolate that you snort. And I didn't snort it though. I just put it in my oatmeal, and it was not that good. But yeah, the legal lean, it made me relax, but I had to sit absolutely still and lean back, and otherwise I didn't really notice it.
Yeah, I think at some point, and I don't know if it's because of the nature of the movie we were watching, but I had something of a constant smile, and I felt relaxed for sure, but I think I felt the full effects after we had gotten back to your place, and I sat down and passed out.
I think they cost more than $10. But anyway, they're still our sponsor. They pay us $5,000 per episode to mention them. Please support our sponsor. How did you like New York otherwise?
Oh, it was fine. I mean, every time I go, it's always a real enjoyable time. But, I mean, it's closer to the holidays, so it's, it's winter time, so there weren't a whole lot of extracurricular activities going down. But I still had a good time. I saw a lot of friends out there, saw some exhibits, visited a lot of menswear shops that I can't afford to spend money in, but I do love to peruse. So
you're a hype beast.
I really am.
Can you get us any clothing sponsors or something like that?
Oh no, fuck no. I don't skateboard. I feel like skateboarding would be the way to do that.
They should move into podcasting. I feel like this would be a great podcast
maybe.
For the hundreds or something like that.
It's not that, but I mean, and no offense to anybody that may be affiliated with the hundreds who may be listening. That's not. I don't know if we do. Do we want to stay that lower tier, not as exclusive, not as sought after, or should we forward this to Virgil Abloh at Off-White and see if we can just start at the top and see what happens?
What about Kith? Is that a good one?
I think that's all right. Yeah, that wouldn't be so bad.
We would have a good brand for them. And who's the hottest rapper in New York? I thought you said you kept hearing Gubbo everywhere you went.
Oh yeah, Mr. Tekashi 6ix9ine. Yes. I did note in a text to you that in one day while walking through Bushwick and Williamsburg, that I did hear the song Gummo by one Tekashi 6ix9ine 9 separate times out of 9 separate cars.
Oh, I forgot that it was that much.
Yeah, man, it's wild. And it's a pretty distinct sound. Like he has a pretty distinct style.
So North Brooklyn would elect Roy Moore, unlike Alabama, is the conclusion to be drawn. I don't know what the song sounds like, so I wouldn't know if I heard it. So maybe I should listen to it just to know, and then so I can like SMH when I walk about.
Or you can keep it in 444 territory and not listen to it.
We also, so the subject of this out is a new Nitty Scott album, Creature! Creature. And she was performing
Creature.
Oh,
there you go. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
I was yelling Creature.
Like, yelling at your roommate or something.
No, I don't have no roommates, bro. I got no roommates out here.
Yeah, so I thought we could go and see her perform and make it an album / live review, which would have been cool. But I misread the event page or something, and I thought it was free before 10, and it was actually free before 11. We went way too early, and then we just like didn't want to wait like till the actual performances got started.
Not all was lost. I mean, we did dance quite a bit, and we got cool pictures.
I feel like you got to listen to a lot of like Puerto Rican music and like drumming, which is good context. Yeah. I don't know if you have Puerto Ricans in New Mexico.
Yeah, no, we don't. And I really don't. I mean, we have like obviously a fair share of Mexicans and what have you, but no Puerto Ricans. So it was a very enlightening experience and very fun. I had a lot of fun just doing that, honestly. I mean, it would have been nice to have seen Nitty Scott perform, but I had a good time just, not dancing very well. And
I'm going to try to see her soon. She plays like at clubs around here or bars and stuff. And I bet she would be great live too.
Oh yeah, I actually watched a live video from I can't remember whose show, but she did 3 songs off of Creature, and it seemed quite lit, if I do say so myself. So I was even more bummed out that we didn't get to catch her set last week. Prior to you, sharing the album with me, I wasn't aware pretty much at all. Researching a little bit, I mean, it seems as though she's picked up a fair bit of critical acclaim and has a bit of a following. I mean, she's got like 28K followers on Twitter, and
the streaming numbers are kind of surprising. They're like in the hundreds of thousands. Yeah, so I hope people listen to this album because it's really good, and I feel like it has a mass appeal. And also, who better to talk about it than us, since you're black and I'm Puerto Rican.
Yeah.
And that's the whole theme of the album.
And that's actually one thing I wanted to address, is that going into this, I wasn't quite aware of like the lyrical content and how a lot of emphasis was placed on her existence as a half African American, half Puerto Rican. And her being a woman, in addition to all of that, just made me feel like somewhat out of place. So, so it was hard. It was hard to relate to a little bit of it, but it was the sentiment itself was quite relatable. But overall, I mean, considering this release pretty much came out of nowhere for me, it was an enjoyable experience. It was a nice surprise because I actually went back and listened to one of her older records. I think it was like the Boombox Diaries Volume 1. I think that was the one I listened to. And a lot of the reviews and articles I had read in trying to get a bit of a backstory on Nitty Scott, it seemed like Creature was quite a bit of a departure from her previous sounds. And so I explored a little bit, and it's quite experimental, and it's got a lot of unique sounds on it.
Yeah, the older stuff is kind of like boom bappy and like not I'm not gonna say technical, but kind of just like I don't know, backpacky.
Yeah, well, you know what? That's exactly what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Especially in like the beat production. But she definitely has bars. Like she can definitely rap for sure.
Yeah, I mean, on this one, on this one, she fuck. What am I trying to say? I hope I don't do this that much when we have Al on. Oh fuck.
Well, you see, I don't know.
We'll edit this out. Well. I'm gonna say like
fucking amateurs.
You can, if you ever just feel dumb, just you don't have to talk. You can just go like for a long time, and we'll edit it out. I hate to compare her to like other female rappers, but she like explicitly like does Nicki Minaj sometimes, and throws in shit like that where doing like a lot of different styles like the first few songs like Pussy Power, they have like 3 different change ups in the flows, whereas I feel like the stuff that I listened to her from before was kind of more straightforward and not as experimental, which kind of speaks to like the aesthetic like she's trying to get the whole aesthetic she's trying to invoke by the cover. The cover is a collage, and she's trying to talk about being in a black world and being in the Hispanic world and having all these juxtapositions. So she brings in all these different styles of rap, and she brings in the poetry, either reading it herself in the case of the Nina Simone quote, which actually was a poem written by William Waring Cooney, or Coney, I think. I can't tell by how I wrote it.
Cooney?
Maybe. Yeah, so she brings in these other texts. The Whole Lot of Smoke song, what was that? Oh, Kaleidoscopes. That one has like a Lewis Carroll quote. It kind of reminds me of what someone said about Keem's album that he came out, Himanshu Suri from Das Racist.
Yeah.
When one of his records came out, someone said like, I hope this isn't taken as an insult, but this is like the record of a guy who probably has like really good Tumblr, and he does. and he's had like a really nice Tumblr. It's kind of just like throwing in all these different influences and life experiences. Yeah, and then just playing with like different textures. Like the first song, Koki song, that's like not even that's just a poem basically. I should have Googled the lyrics to see if she wrote it. It sounded like something probably she could have come up with something close to her experience, but it kind of just like set the scene. So kind of like a indigenous primitivist like kind of back to the island vibe, and then mixing in everything else after that. So yeah, I feel really bad because like I can't ever find a way to compare women rappers to male rappers. Like she raps sometimes like Nicki Minaj, and that's also just I just don't have like the critical vocabulary or like the knowledge, So
yeah,
I'm
exactly.
Sure she's
yeah,
like a lot of people, and she's rapping like herself, like it's
yeah. She's got various tones and cadences that she seems to play with throughout the entire album.
Though speaking of Himanshu, she does sound like him on Negrita, I noticed. But she's way better at rapping than he is.
He's got good bars. He's got some great lines. I loved Das Racist. I feel like I enjoy Heems as a personality more so than maybe as a rapper, and it's a plus that he can, he's clever in his raps.
Yeah, he kind of have like a relaxed vibe, kind of like with Nitty Scott, that like she kind of have like a relaxed swagger. I was actually thinking about this whereas like if we're talking about like Backpack, we're talking about like the most uptight people. Yeah, I was thinking of this when I was listening to the Jay-Z and Beyonce DJ Khaled song. It was kind of like Jay-Z trying to do like a modern rap style, which just means to be like a little more relaxed than he usually is. Because I feel like he's like a guy who always wants to be in control, but he's just like, oh, I'm gonna have fun on this one. But it doesn't. It kind of comes across as an old man doing it, but it was still like, oh wow, I see, like I can hear the like the gears grinding as he tries to do this, which in itself is kind of endearing. What songs stuck out to you?
I liked Negrita a lot, and it actually reminds me of a Vince Staples song as well. It's just with the super laid back vibe, and I think La Diaspora also really. I think that's like probably my favorite track on the record because it's like super upbeat, and she seems to have a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was one of her. I think that was one of the singles.
Yeah, she has a pretty enjoyable music video for it. It's something of a short film. If you haven't seen it,
I should check it out.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend it.
The music video is my least favorite. One of my least favorite mediums.
Oh, you weren't a fan of the big music video in the 90s?
No, no, I never got into music videos.
So you're
I've only
basically the
now
mad rapper incarnate. You don't enjoy big budget videos.
and now whenever I see them, I mean, especially this is probably how they're produced. They just always seem like a series of gifs now. It's just like, oh, there's a cool thing, and there's a cool thing. Yeah, one song I liked really interesting on here was which one was it? Oh, Don't Shoot. The song itself kind of sounds like a Kanye song. You have I feel like the dun, dun sample is kind of like a fake like Justice synth in like a Kanye song. And then they even have like the guitar at the end from like like the latter day Kanye stuff. And the feature on there by Raina Rich is kind of like a stand-in for Keisha Cole, like randomly coming on a song and singing. But then like the rapping is like better than 90% of the rapping that appears like on a Kanye album. And then it has pretty cool. I mean, the lyrics itself are pretty pretty interesting. And it's kind of like radical without being like annoying for lack for lack of a better phrase. Like she says like back of the bus, which is like when sometimes when people like bring up like those images, it's like it's kind of cloying, but she pulls off that stuff so well. And also it's because like it's not like all over the album, it's kind of towards the end, so it's not like throughout where you're just listening to like, all right, yeah, you're making very good points, very valid points. Like
I feel like a lot of that, if not executed properly, can come off real hacky. But I feel like she's put a different spin on it, and because it's coming from a different place, like it seems like she's trying to communicate about a lot more issues, just other than your typical like, don't shoot type of stuff. I mean, especially in the song for Sarah Bartman, I feel like that's the majority of that song's just explaining, I guess, like the dynamics between existing in both, as both like a black person as well as a brown person. And in a sense, I can kind of relate to that as well. But, considering I'm brown, but a different kind of brown, existing in two different worlds is taxing. But she also brings about, she has a line that reads, "I'm plenty blended, but don't call me exotical, like I'm half black, half beautiful." I mean, it brings in a lot of perspectives that I don't think I would have normally explored outside of a record like this.
That series in particular is really cool. She talks about, I mean, you have Pink Palm Trees, which I think is that's just like a Nina Simone song, or it's just a Nina Simone, and then she goes into Sarah Bartman, which is Sarah Bartman is one of these African women who was like kidnapped and used in a freak show because she had a big buttocks. Yeah, and then in Don't Shoot, she is also talking about the white gaze and talking about how white people want to be black and they want our slang, but they won't do anything when this shit is happening. So yeah, it was also easy to digest because it was so well sequenced. Like the whole idea is like the whole album like moves through its ideas like so seamlessly. The instrumental breaks and the poetry. I mean, because like I've heard like a lot of poetry like Koki Song. I've heard it at like events, and it's like socialist events and like activist events, and it's like, all right, cool. Like I've heard like this cadence like so much, and I've heard people say this exact same thing, and usually like, and sometimes people like that are like become rappers, and like they can't be good. They're like, oh, I rap, but I also do poetry, and here's a little something for you guys. It's like basically a Cookie Song, but and then I'm like, oh my god, I do not want to hear you rap, because they wouldn't have like a whole song about weed and shit, like because that's not woke enough. I hate that I use woke so much.
Yeah,
it's just the most appropriate term right now. Yeah, we were talking about the production. It's really good throughout. Actually, I'm making fun of like the Don't Shoot production. There's a tag at the end for Fast Life Beats. I don't know who that is, but throughout most of it, it's really good. It just sets such a tone.
But I was really taken back by how expansive a lot of the production sounds. Like you definitely, that really helps push forward, the subject matter as well as, a lot of her cadences as well. It definitely opens up nicely, and it has nice little dips and highs as well. And I was really, really impressed.
Yeah, and it's not just like, oh, I'm gonna sample like salsa to like show my Hispanic heritage. It's kind of like more like there's like cool rhythms, and like the snares are usually more weird than your typical like 808s.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just have like the interstitial stuff, which is pretty good.
It's funny that you criticize the just basically putting like an ethnic piece of music over a beat, because I was actually when you mentioned that, I thought about a song on the new Big Sean Metro Boomin tape that does just that, and I think we're gonna go into that in a little bit more detail. But that's pretty much what came to mind. I was like, holy shit.
We'll talk about that
Yeah,
too.
because I feel like that kind of stuff is super hacky. Like, I don't understand that.
Yeah, especially if it's like the song is about like referencing the sample. It's, oh, okay, I got it.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, this album rocks.
I just remembered the song that I feel like Negrita reminds me of, the Vince Staples song. And it reminds me of the song off Summertime '06 called Let Me Know, which features Jenny Aiko. It just gives me that same relaxed but like super confident vibe, which is something I totally dig.
I can't believe like I hadn't heard about this more. Well, she's been around for a long time, since '08, as she says on one of the tracks, which I love that track actually. Wait, I should find out which one that is and talk about it. Oh, it's called Right. She gets like so fiery, and then at the end she says, well, not in the end, but she says, who gave you fire since 2008? Imitated so much they copy mistakes. I like that line. I don't know who she thinks is copying her, but also, yeah, because every time I hear like female rappers, I feel like you have to insult. If you insult bitches rapping, you'll only be talking about like 8 people. So it's always like, wait, who's this about?
I mean, you can only really be criticizing Nicki Minaj or Cardi B, I guess, at this point, right?
The way to pronounce Cardi B in French is Cardi B. I learned.
Interesting.
Oh, we should talk about her sing. She sings a lot, and it's really good. She has that one that's like super jazzy. Oh, In the Water.
Yeah, her voice, like, it's kind of raspy, right? It's I really enjoyed that as well. Yeah. It's overall as a release, it's super impressive considering I had no idea who she was, and I guess that leads me to ask you, sir, how did you find out about this release?
I found out because I think David Drake retweeted her saying that that like publications love to talk about how they're not gonna cover Kodak Black and Chris Brown, and then she says, oh, well, here's my album. And then they're like, oh, well, we're too busy talking about how, like, we're not going to cover these guys. So, and then I was like, man, I just spent 5 hours talking about Chris Brown. And then I did a whole episode about XXXTentacion and Kodak Black. But we're not talking about this as, like, a makeup, because it is actually really good. Yeah, I would like us to do more stuff on this level, for sure.
I feel that way, especially since we're nearing the end of the year, and with the ending of the year, especially in the music space, comes, year-end lists. You read about the same 5 records being in the top 10, and I feel like those get coverage enough. So when it comes to smaller releases like this, or just, not quite hyped releases, it'd be helpful to be more plugged into it so that we can explore, other not so treaded territory,
Yeah, it looks like this came out in July or August. So I guess it's fine that I hadn't heard till now.
Yeah, a lot of the interviews and stuff I had read, predated the summer, predated August.
But yeah, overall, this is awesome. Now we can get back to talking. Who's the worst rap? Now, next episode, Takeshi 69. We're gonna record it.
We're gonna be talking about Gummo.
We're gonna record it in a car and
dissecting the song Gummo.
Yeah, dissecting. Yeah, it should just be about Gummo.
Here we go again, dude. Here we go again, proving Nitty Scott right. We're just talking about problematic rappers now.
it's so weird that there's already another person that we can do that about. I was like, oh, well, I guess like we were finding out about everyone, you know.
Yeah,
But anyway,
exactly.
but we're not going to do that. We're not going to do it. Okay. All right. The next our next episode will be about the Big Sean and Metro Boomin tape, and we'll have a special guest.
Are you not going to name who the special guest is?
I don't know how to. Is it Al Shipley? Is that how you should?
Yes. I do believe it is Al Shipley, and that I only say that because I heard David Drake say it that way. So.
Okay. And our special guest will be Al Shipley, our first guest. That should be awesome.
Yeah, I've read a lot of his stuff.
Yeah, you've been following him for a while, right?
Yeah, he follows me on Twitter. So he writes for various music magazines.
Hashtag
Complex.
Team Followback.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying, dude. My man. And he is also responsible for a blog by the name of Government Name. So.
Oh wait, I've heard of that. I didn't know that.
Yeah. He contributed a lot to that. Okay. So.
Cool.
I'm excited to speak to somebody that knows what they're talking about outside of Frank. So.
Wait, what's coming up in fighting?
We have this weekend Robbie Lawler versus Rafael dos Anjos,
yes,
which I am very much looking forward to.
I wish Robbie Lawler good luck on this fight. So
I don't know, man. I feel like he wears his size a little bit better than Rafael dos Anjos does. I feel like at lightweight, dos Anjos it was probably easier for him to impose his game. You know, he's a bully. You know, he really does just move forward and beats the shit out of people, and he's really good at cornering people. But I'm super curious to see how this matchup turns out.
Yeah, because I remember his other fight at welterweight was kind of more toe to toe. Like he wasn't able to quite pull that off, right?
Yeah, in his first match at 170 against Tarek Saffiedine, he was able to impose his will just enough. I mean, he was fighting in the clinch a lot with Tarek Saffiedine, which is not something we've seen RDA do, because he's been able to, punish people against the fence and impose his will in that sense. But against Tarek Saffiedine, who is a little bit bigger, but he's not super imposing from a physical perspective, but he's definitely a talented striker, which is why I think he decided to clinch a little bit more.
Yeah.
So that match was a little bit more competitive, but against Neil Magny, he had a very dominant performance.
I forgot about that fight. That was so cool. I loved that.
Yeah, he took him down with a leg kick and then just dominated him on the ground until he ultimately submitted him.
Lawler or Dos Anjos?
I feel like I got Robbie Lawler.
Okay. See you next week. Switch gang out. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Longest bye ever. Bye.
It'll be like the longest shit ever. Shit.